Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we are going to be building really fun project, and as you can see here, this is really simple, and as you can see, it's called Genie Art. And what this app do is basically it will be generate image by what you typing in this input here. So for example, I'm gonna say cute baby. Let's say cute baby fly into the moon. All right. So if I hit enter here, and as you can see, we get the loading skeleton, and then after a couple seconds, it should be showing the result for us. And as you can see, it's pretty cute here, and also it is going to be responsive, guys. And as you can see, so I built this project with React for the front end. I'm going to using React, and also for generate React application, I'm using Feed, and for the styling here, I'm using Tailwindcss. And also for the backend, I'm using OpenAI API. Is really popular now, and we're gonna use this image generation. So I'm gonna showing you how to do that. It's pretty simple. So yeah, that's what we are going to be building, guys. Hope you like it, and let's get started. So the first thing is what we need to do is let's create a folder. I'm going to give a name Genie Art here, okay, and I'm going to cd into the folder. Let's say cd and then Genie Art. All right, so in this folder I'm going to open that into the Visual Studio Code. Let's say code and then dot here. So inside this Visual Studio Code, I'm going to open an integrated terminal. In here I'm going to create two folders, which is frontend and then backend. So let's say make directory frontend and also backend. All right, so now we have two folder here, which is frontend and backend. So the first thing is I'm going to working with the backend first. Let's cd into the backend folder, and in here I'm going to let's generate package.json file. So we can say npm init-y. It's basically will be create package.json file, and as you can see here, the name of the app here, the version, description, etc. So next we need to install the express. We need to say npm install express. Okay, we are going to create the server with express. So in this backend here, it's done, right? In this backend, I'm going to create a file called server.js file. Let's say server.js. So here, let's go to the expressjs.com. Go to get started here. All right. So it's pretty simple to create a server with Express. So as you can see here, first we need to import the Express here. So let's do cons, and then we say Express that equals to require Express. Okay, like that. And also we need to run the Express inside the app variable. So we can say cons app, right? So that goes to Express and invoke the function like so. Okay, so I think I'm going to make it bigger so you can see. So here we are going to basically create a port. So I'm going to say cons port, so that it goes to, I'm going to use 5500 port here. You can use anything you want. And down here I'm going to say app.listen. It's going to be listen the app, and it should be listen in the port. And then here I'm going to run the callback function. So in here, the console log here, and I'm going to say server running at port. Let's bring in the port variable. Let's say port like so. Okay. So now if I say node and then server, should be, as you can see down here, server running at port 5500. That's mean it's working now. So if I create path here, not path but a road, okay, so I'm going to create a road. So let's say app.use. all right, so I'm going to say just for slash here, and here I'm going to create the request and response. This is just for example, guys. So in here I'm going to say response.send, and I'm going to send, let's say, hello from Express. Okay, so now if I open the, let's see here, I'm going to say http colon and then slash localhost with port 5500. So now if I run that again, npm, not npm but node server. Okay, so it should be showing this HTTP localhost 5500. So if I click that, as you can see here, we have hello from Express in the browser. So another thing that I'm going to showing you is I'm going to create environment variable. So I'm going to put this part into the env file. So first I'm going to search for .env. Okay, .env here. Let's click this and let's try to install that first. So I'm going to click this and let's paste that in here. As you can see here, npm i.env. I'm going to click enter, and you will see this .env into the dependency. Okay, so first I'm going to create folder, not folder but file .env, and in here I'm going to say part that equals to 5500. Okay, so in the server here I'm going to let's call this port here. I can say process .env and the name of the environment variable, which is port. Okay, just like that. So now if I remove this, we still will be get the 5500 value. So let's do, and not oh, really. So we can say node and then server. Okay, as you can see here, we get the undefined. That's because up here we don't yet import the .env file. So what we need to do is basically require .env.config like so. So we can put it here. Okay, just like that. So now when I run that again, it should be showing localhost 5500. Okay, so if the environment variable doesn't exist, I'm going to use 5500 here as a default. All right, pretty cool. So next, I'm going to install NodeMon because I don't want to keep restart the server every time I make a change. So in here, I'm going to search for NodeMon. So let's go here and we are going to install NodeMon as a dev dependency. So we are going to, let's just copy this one here, copy that, and we are going to paste that in here. Okay, npm install -dev and NodeMon, and as you can see in the package.json file, it should be installed NodeMon inside the dev dependency object here. Okay, so what we need to do here is I'm going to change this script here. So let's remove this test and I'm going to use star. The star is basically I'm going to run node index, not index but server. Okay, and also down here I'm going to say for a dev. Okay, and for dev I'm going to use NodeMon here. So let's say NodeMon and then server.js file. So down here now we can say npm run dev. Okay, it should be running the NodeMon server.js. And now we don't have to keep restart the server every time we make a change. So for example here, I'm going to add explanation here. Okay, so if I save, and as you can see, it's automatically updated down here. Pretty cool. So next I'm going to create another folder inside the backend here. So I'm going to call that roads. Okay, so inside this roads, I'm going to create a file called api.js file. So inside in here, first I'm going to say express that equals to require express, and also here I'm going to say cons and then router that equals to express.router, like that. So down here I'm going to module.export and then set equals to router. Okay, so let's create the router here. So I'm going to say router and then .get for now. So let's say get, and then for path I'm going to say /, and then here I'm going to render. So we can just copy from here this request response here. So I'm going to copy that, just cut that out and put it here. Okay, so instead of running the function here, I just want to import from API from these roads. What we need to do is I'm going to create a variable called, let's say, roads, so that equals to should be require, and then the path is going to be /roads/API. And then we can run this route here inside this app.use here as a callback. So now it should be why the app is crashed here down here. So let's see what the error express.error is not a function. So let's go back to API. So it should be uppercase R, so you can see router like so, and it should be working nicely. So now what we need to do is let's go to localhost and then 5500. It should be running exactly same thing here. But if I change this to, let's say, OpenAI, the path here, it should be not working for now. If I go to, let's say, /OpenAI, it should be work. Okay. And also here, I'm going to use /images. Okay, so let's say images. If I save, and we should add, it's not gonna work now. And we need to add another path, let's say /images, like so, should be work. Next, I'm going to create another folder inside the backend. So let's call this controller. So let's say controllers, and inside this controllers, I'm going to create a file called, let's say, OpenAI controllers.js. Okay. So inside in here, I'm going to, let's first create a function, and I'm going to create a function called generate image. Okay. So it's just going to be arrow function like so, and down here I'm going to model.export set equals to, I'm going to export this generate image function just like that. So now what we need to do is I'm going to, let's first I think it should be, let's grab the request and respond here. Let's say request and then respond, and down here I'm going to, let's just say respond.status, I'm going to say 200, and also for the JSON here I'm going to say let's say success to true, and also for the message hello from controllers. All right, so when I save that, and basically I'm going to run this generate image into this API routes here. Okay, so we can remove this. Okay, you can remove that, and I'm going to run the generate image right here. Just make sure you import generate image from this one here, controller OpenAI controllers. So now if I save now, and if I refresh here, as you can see, we have this JSON format here, because here we return the responded status 200 and then the JSON right here. Okay, so what we need to do next is I'm going to install NodeMon. So I'm going to install where's OpenAI. All right, let's go to introduction here, and what we need to do is let's copy this npm install OpenAI. So let's copy that, and I'm going to paste that in here. Hit enter, and okay, it's done. Let's run the npm run dev again, and now you should see this OpenAI into dependency here. Okay, nice. And what we need to do next, let's scroll down. Let's go to images here. As you can see here, to generate the image, you can just make a post request in this URL. Let's go back to VS Code, and in here, I'm going to grab the configuration. Let's say configuration, and also OpenAI API is going to come from the require, and then OpenAI. Say OpenAI. So what we need to do here is I'm going to create a variable called configuration. Okay, let's say configuration set equals to new configuration. Okay, and inside in here we are going to send the API key. So you can grab your API key into this personal here and go to this view API keys, and you can generate new secret key. You can click that, and you can copy from here. Just copy that, and you can paste that in here. Okay, of course it's not good to put the API key in here. You can put that into the environment variable. So let's go back to env file. let's create OpenAI underscore API underscore key and put the value here. So let's copy from here and I'm going to paste that in here. So you don't have to put the string here, the value. What you need to do is just say process.env and the name of the environment variable. So in this case, we use OpenAI API key. So let's bring it here, just like that. Now done here, what we need to do, let's create a variable called OpenAI set equals to, we're going to say new OpenAI API and let's put the configuration inside in here. Okay, just like that. So let's go back here, let's see the documentation, and yeah, we need to say new OpenAI API and put the configuration. So I think this typo here, it should be OpenAI API with uppercase I, just like that. All right, so now we need to create the response down here. So I'm going to use async await. Let's change this function into async await function. So let's say async here, and I'm going to use try and catch. Let's say try, and down here we handle the catch. So let's grab the error, and then I just want to console log the error down here, just like that. So inside this try here, I'm going to create a variable called response. Let's say response set equals to, and we are going to await, and we are going to make OpenAI dot create image like this one here. As you can see, it's create image. So we can say create image, all right, and put the option here. So as you can see, we can do the prompt is basically anything user typing in the input here, and this n here is basically integer. So it's basically the number of image to generate must be between 1 and 10. So the size, it should be have 3 value, which is the small here, medium, and the large here. All right, so let's try that. And I'm going to just use this prompt here. So let's go back. Let's say prompt here. And I'm going to put this string, which is create an image of a city skyline at night. Down here, I'm going to create a variable called image underscore result that equals to, and I'm going to say response dot data dot data. So basically, let's go back here, and the result, where we can see the result. Yeah, down here as you can see, we can grab the response.data.data. So that's why here I grab the response.data.data. This res.status inside in here. So let's put that. So the status is going to be 200, and the JSON here it should be I'm going to remove this message. Instead of message, I'm going to use data, and I'm going to put the image result here. All right, so now I think everything's look nice, and let's try. Let's go to Postman. So in here, what we need to do is I'm going to make a post request in this URL. So I'm going to change this port into 5500. Okay, OpenAI/images. And if I click send here, I should be getting error. That's because I think we make a get request here. So let's change that to post request, and then I hope that's work. So let's go back, and I'm going to make a send post request here. Okay, so it's sending request, and after a couple seconds it should be showing the result. So as you can see here, it's still sending request. Something wrong happened down here. So let's scroll up and let's see what we have wrong here. So let's say, as you can see, the status message is unauthorized. So what we need to do is basically this env here is not recognized. That's because in server here we put the config down here. So what we need to do is we need to put this router down the .env, just like that. Okay, just make sure you're doing that, because After you're doing this, it should be work. So let's go back and send the post request, and after a couple seconds it should be showing the result, I hope. Okay, it still worked in the console, nothing wrong. So as you can see here, we get the data, and if I open that, and as you can see, we should see the result. So as you can see, this result is pretty nice image, and if I make a post request again, it should be showing another image. So let's wait for that. Alright, so it's done. So let's open that into the browser, and as you can see, it's generated new image for us. Okay, really cool. So what we need to do next is basically I'm going to grab the prompt value, this prompt value here, from the body, which is from the body of the postman here. Okay, so we need to send the prompt and then the value here, and it should be we can be able to access the value here from the request.body. So what we need to do is we need to say const, and then we grab the prompt. Okay, so let's say prompt is going to become from request.body. Okay, just like that. So we need to put the prompt in here so we can remove this string, and let's say prompt like so. Because we have same name, we don't need to do that. We need to just remove the prompt like so. So here, I just want to console log the prompt so you can see the value into the console first, like that. So now let's go back here, postman, and I'm going to make a post request in the same URL. It's right here. So let's send that. And as you can see now, it's crash here. That's because the prompt here is undefined. That is because in server here, we don't handle the parsing application JSON. So what we need to do is under the port here, we need to, let's say, parsing, let's say application/JSON. So what we need to do is, let's say, app.use, and we grab the express, and then let's say .json, just like that. Okay, so now if I make a post request, and it should be showing the value down here. As you can see, a cute baby fly to the moon with angel. So let's see here, because we send this one. Okay, so if I click this, it should be generate the image for us. All right, pretty cool. But also inside the postman here, we have the xww-from-url encoded. So we need to handle that as well. So we need to, let's say down here, we need to say parsing, let's say application x and then ww, and then form, let's say URL encoded. So here I'm going to say app.use. Okay, so here let's say express dot URL encoded, like so, and inside in here I'm going to put an object, and let's say extended into true. Okay, just like that. Now we can be able to use the xww-from-url code in here. So for example, I'm going to say prompt here, and let's do another value. I'm going to paste the value here, which is generate a picture of a snowy mountain range. So I'm going to click send, and it should be still showing the value down here. That's mean everything's worked. And inside of postman, we also get the URL of the image. Really cool. So yeah, that's it. Now what we need to do next? We need to install a course, because course is basically middleware that we can use to make a post request in the browser. If you not install course, you cannot make a post request in the URL here. That's because it should be showing error course. So to use this course is pretty simple. You can just copy the comment here and paste that in here, and it should be install the course. And to use that, it's also pretty simple. We need to just say const, and then course set equals to, should be course set equals to require course. Okay, let's say course. And also down here, what we need to do is I just want to enable all requests. Just simple use here. Okay, so what we need to do is just copy this one. So let's say enable all requests. Okay, just paste that in here. I think we're done with the backend stuff. So now let's create the file called git ignore here. So let's say git ignore. So inside in here, I'm going to ignore the node models folders. Okay, node models and also .env, because we're not going to push this file and folder here into the production. So down here, I'm going to say git init, and also I'm going to say git add all. Okay, and I'm going to git commit -m initial backend. All right, let's hit enter. Okay, we're done. Nice. So next, let's working with the front end stuff. Going to, let's just run the backend. So we can say npm run dev into the backend, and I'm going to open another terminal here. So let's go to the front end folder. I'm going to go outside the Jenny art folder, and in here I'm going to say cd and then front end. But inside the front end folder, I'm going to generate React application with feed. So let's click get started. And we are going to copy this command here. Let's go back, paste that in here. And I'm going to run this create feed letters into the front end folder. So inside in here, I'm going to select JavaScript. No JavaScript. I'll select a React and then I select JavaScript. So, and then here I'm going to run npm install. This basically will be install the node models here. Okay, everything is worked. Now let's say npm run dev. It should be open the app into localhost 5173. And this is what we have. Really cool. So now let's remove couple file that we don't need. So I'm gonna go to source here. Let's remove the asset app css. Let's delete that. And I'm gonna go to app here and let's make it small. I'm going to remove all the content here. So let's remove that and just put, let's say h1 and let's say app for now. Let's remove the class name. Don't need that. And let's remove the use state, everything up here. Let's also go to index.css and I'm going to remove all this content here. So what we need to do first is, we have app, right? What we need to do first is we need to install Tailwind. Let's go to tailwindcss.com, click get started and click this framework guides. And we are gonna select the feed here. So let's copy this command here. Okay, we need to install the Tailwind. So let's stop the app here with Ctrl+C. And I'm going to paste the npm install dependency, the Tailwind CSS, post CSS, and auto prefixer. And also we are going to initialize the Tailwind config. So I'm going to copy this comment here and let's go back, paste that in here. Okay, now we should have this Tailwind config.gzs. All right. So next we need to copy this content and put that in here. Just like that. So now when I run the app, npm run dev, and I'm going to go back to app.jsx here, and I'm going to add class name, say class name, and I'm going to change the color, text red, let's say 500. So when I save, and as you can see, it's not working. Yeah, it's not working. That's because we don't yet copy the CSS. So let's scroll down. We need to use the style in here. So let's copy that, go to CSS, paste that in here and save. So now it should be work. As you can see here, we have the app with a red color. So now let's create the component called header. So I'm going to close this, everything here, and I'm going to, let's minimize this. I think we can close that. So in the source here, I'm going to create a component, but before that, I just want to tracking my change with git. So I can say git add all, and yeah, it's not come with git. Feed is not come with git. So we can say git add, not git add, but git init. And also we have this git ignore, right? We have this git ignore inside the front end. Okay, everything look good. So I want to say git add all, and also git commit, say commit -m, and let's do initial front end. All right. hit enter, and we can run that again. npm run dev. All right. So now let's create a folder inside the source here. I'm going to give a name components. Let's say components. So inside this components folder, I'm going to create a file called header. So let's say header.jsx. So here I'm going to say RIFCE. So we have functional base component here. Let's bring the header inside in here. So let's remove the sh1 and I'm going to say header. Okay. So now we should be able to see this header into the browser. So now let's go back to header. In this header here, I'm going to create gradient background. So let's go to Tailwind here and I'm going to looking for, let's say, gradient background, right? So basically I'm going to use really similar like this one. So you can just copy that and go back here. Let's say class name, put that in here. It's basically background gradient to right from, and I'm going to change the color here to my color. So let's remove that. Let's remove this blue 500 and I'm going to open my notes because I put my color in the notes here. Let's copy that and paste that in here. Let's do paste here. And also my second color, it should be this one. Let's say like so. Now if I save and let's take a look, this is what we have. Okay, really cool. So now let's wrap this header here with container. I'm going to remove this header. And here I'm going to make a comment. So let's say container. And down here, I'm going to create div with the class container. And also here, I'm going to add the mx to auto to make the text into the center. But I'm going to add the text here. So let's say header. You can see the different. As you can see here, it's going to be look like that. And also I'm going to add the maximal width. So let's say maximal width into, I'm going to say 5xl basically. And also I'm going to add the padding horizontally to 2 and padding vertically to 6. So if I save, it's going to be look like that. Okay, here we go. So next I'm going to, let's create the logo. So I'm going to do here. So let's make a comment here. So let's say logo. Logo is basically just b tag, and let's say Jenny, and also span here. Let's say art. So basically here I'm going to add a class name. Let's do display to block, and also the font I'm going to change that to bold, and also the text, let's say XL. So let's save this and let's see. Here we go. Basically for the logo here, I'm going to use the font family, which is Open Sans font. So first I'm going to go to the font, which is the googlefont.com, and I'm going to search for, let's remove everything here. So first I'm going to search for Open Sans. This one here, I'm going to select the, let's say bold 700 here. I'm going to select that. And also I'm going to select for the layout. Let's say layout. This is for the body, so I'm going to select that. And I'm going to use the, I'm going to select this regular 400, select that. Click this view selected families, and I'm going to use import. So let's copy this import, paste to the index. All right, just paste that in here. And also we are going to change the font family into the Tailwind. So inside the extend here, I'm going to say font family. Okay, it's going to be object, and I'm going to give a name Lato here. So let's say Lato. It should be array here, and let's see how that we can use. We can say Lato with capital L. We can say Lato, and for the second font, I'm going to use sans serif, just like that. So let's copy this right here, and this is going to be the Open Sans. And how that we can use, we can say Open Sans. Let's say Open Sans. All right, so now we can use this Open Sans. So we can go back to header, and here we can say font dash Open Sans. When I save, and let's take a look here, as you can see the font should be changed. We need to also make a custom color into the Tailwind config here. So I'm going to open my notes, and this is basically my primary color. So I'm going to copy that. Let's go back here, and I'm going to say colors. So let's say colors, and then I'm going to give a name primary. So this primary is basically this color here. Okay. And also for the other, I'm going to use gray 50. So 500. So this is basically the color of the tags. So I'm going to use this color here. Let's paste that in here. So now let's go back to my index.css. I'm going to grab my HTML and also my body here. And I'm going to change the font family into Leto. So let's say Leto and then sans serif. And also for the color, I'm going to use, let's say apply, let's say text gray 500. Okay, which is this color here, the color from here. Okay, so I'm going to use this primary inside the header. So let's go to logo and the span here. I'm going to add the class name that equals to text dash primary, like that. Now if I save, and this is our logo now, pretty cool. So now let's working with the tagline. So I'm going to remove this h1 and let's say tagline. And in here, I'm going to, just create a div with the class. Let's do margin top to, let's say 14. All right. And so in here, I'm going to create h2 and I'm going to put my tagline into node here. Let's copy this and paste that into my VS code. Paste that in here. And also I have my another paragraph here, some description. So let's just copy this one here and let's paste that in here. Okay. So now if I save, now we have this one. So let's styling that a little bit. In the h2 here, I'm going to add class name called, let's say font bold, and also the text, let's say XL, and I'm gonna say maximal width into, let's say XS, and also the margin bottom, let's say 1. All right. And also for the paragraph here, I'm going to add class names that equals to the font. I'm going to use like, and also the opacity, I'm going to say, let's do opacity to 80. Let's do 80. And also for the mobile, I'm going to hidden this paragraph here. So let's say hidden. And for the medium and more, which is into the desktop, I'm going to showing the text, which is, I'm going to say inline block. So now it should be showing here. So now let's create the input field. Let's go back here and I'm going to create the form here. So let's say form, and in here I'm going to create the form tag. So let's say form. Let's remove this action, we don't need that. And also this form here is basically have some classes. Let's say class names that equals to, is going to be relative, the position should be relative, and the margin top, margin vertically should be 8, and also the background I'm gonna do, let's see, red 500 for now, so you can see. And also the maximal width, I'm gonna set that to medium. All right. So also here, I'm going to put my input, let's say input. Also down here, let's go with the button. All right. So the button is have a text called, let's say generate. Yeah. So if I save, now we have this one here. So now let's styling this input field, and I'm going to make it small so you can see, and also this one here, which is side by side here. So it's going to be look really nice. All right, so now let's styling this input. I'm going to add class name, and here the text indent, I'm going to set that to 2, and the padding vertically, let's set that to, let's say 4. And I save, and as you can see, and also the padding horizontally, which is the px, I'm going to set that with 4.5 rem. Okay, and also I'm going to add the rounded into small here. And also for the background, I'm going to use gray, let's say gray 50. And also for the width, I'm going to set that to full. And for the medium and more, I'm going to change the maximal width into, let's say medium. Okay, So when I focus the input field here, I'm going to add a ring, and the ring should be have color primary. And also I'm going to remove the outline, let's say none. And also when I focus here, it should be have the ring, let's say ring, it should be 1. All right, and let's try to save and let's see. That's what we have. All right, so now let's add the placeholder. So I'm going to do placeholder here, set it equals to, I'm going to grab the placeholder here, let's copy that, and I'm going to paste that in here. Okay, this placeholder, I think it's not text indent, but I think the padding here, it should be, it's not px, but I just want to put the padding right. Okay, just the padding right here. So yeah, that will be fine. Why I put the padding right to 4.5 RAM, that's because in here I'm going to put the icon. So in this button here, I'm going to put the icon. So I'm going to grab the icon from hero icon. So let's search for this one here, hero icons. And first I'm going to install the package. So I'm going to, let's stop the front end here. Let's paste star in here. Okay, the npm install hero icon / react. Let's run that again. All right, so let's close this. And we are going to go to hero icons.dev. And here we are going to search for the icon that we are going to use. Basically, we are going to use this arrow long right icon here. So let's click here and click this toggle sidebar. And I'm going to use React. All right, so we can just copy this import. Let's copy that, and we are going to put that in here. So to use that, it's pretty simple. We need to just copy this component and go to this button and paste that in here. So let's remove this one here. I'm going to remove that. And in this button, I'm going to add class name. So let's say class name set equals to the position. It should be absolute. Let's save. And it's right here. And I'm going to change the position, which is the bottom here, into, let's say, 2.5. And also the right into, let's say, 2.5 as well. And also the background, I'm going to change that to primary color. Let's do primary. And I'm going to put the text to white. And also the padding, let's do 2. And also the padding vertically, I'm going to set that to 2 as well. All right, nice. And I'm going to put the rounded here. Okay. All right. And also I'm going to do, I think the rounded is going to be small. I think, let's say small. There we go. And also the text, I'm going to change that to small here. All right. I think we're done with this input. Really cool. And the next thing what we need to do is let's create the image result down here. So let's go back. And I'm going to create the component. So let's do image result.js. All right. Let's do rfce, and we are going to import this image result into the app. So let's do here. Let's say image result, just like that. Now we should see something wrong happen. Let's see into the image result. Yeah, that is because the file here, it should be JSX. So let's rename that, and it should be JSX. All right, look pretty good. And now we need to wrap this div here inside a container. So now I'm going to, let's remove this. And in this div here, I'm going to add class name called, the first thing is going to be the container. The maximal width, I'm going to put that to 5XL. And also for the MX, let's do auto, say auto. And also for the padding, horizontally, I'm going to put 2, and padding vertically, let's say 6. Also down here, I'm going to put another div. This is basically the grid. So here, I'm going to add the class name to grid. Okay. And for the medium and more, I'm going to add the grid to column. Let's say grid columns 2, I think. And also, I'm going to add the gap to 4, just like that. So in here, if I have, for example, let's say image and then image, we have 2 image. Now we have 2 column right here. Okay. So the first thing is I just want to create the skeleton loading. So here I'm going to create a folder, not folder, but file. Let's say skeleton.jsx. Let's do RFCE, and I'm going to render the skeleton in here. So let's do skeleton like so, right? And I'm going to send the item, the props here. It's called item, and I'm going to send 2. In here we can grab that. So here it should be item. So this one here, I'm going to remove that, and I'm gonna say 3 dot, and I'm gonna say array. So I'm gonna create array. The item here is basically a number. So I'm gonna create like let's say key. So it's basically will becoming the if the key is 2, will becoming the 0 and then 1, like that. So here I'm gonna say dot map. Okay, so I'm going to map through the array. So here I'm going to just return a div. Okay, so this div here have a class name called say animate pools. This is for the animate, and also the width I'm gonna set that to full. Okay, so inside in here I'm going to create another div. So this div here is basically have a class name called flex. Okay, which is the display flex. Also the item should be center, because in here I'm going to put the icon. So let's grab the icon first. Right here I'm going to looking for photos, I think. Yeah, this one. Let's click that and toggle the sidebar, and we are going to use this. So let's copy that, put up here, and also to use that is pretty simple. Copy this and put that in here, just like that. So let's remove this background and height like so. So now if I save, and we should see this icon here. All right, so let's do item center, and also it should be animate. Sorry about that, animate, and also item center, and we are gonna do justify center, and also the width I'm gonna set that to full, and also the height I'm going to say 800, and the background let's say gray 300. Okay, and also this is going to be the rounded. All right, let's save and let's take a look here. The height is not working, so let's see. So let's do 80, I think. Yeah, here we go. As you can see, this is working really nice. Let's do width into, I want to do 12, I think. Let's save, and here we go. So first I want to go to the JSON placeholder, and I'm going to grab the image. So let's go to photos here, and basically I'm going to copy 2 images. Okay, this one. Let's just copy that, and I'm going to put that into the image result here. So here, let's say const and then data set equals to array with 2 image here. Okay, so I just want to remove the title, everything here. We just have the URL of the image. So now what we need to do is let's create the loading. So let's say is loading. For now, let's say false. So here we are going to add the condition. So let's do if is loading is true, I want to render this skeleton here. Okay, just like that. Put it here. But else I want to map through this data here. Say data, but map. We grab the individual image, and I'm going to return component called image card. We don't have yet, so let's create it here. I'm going to do image card.jsx. Let's do RFCE, and we are going to import this component right here. So we can do image card like so. Okay, in here we are going to send the image. So let's say image that equals to image.url. Let's also send the key here. So I'm going to do key set equals to, basically the index come from this one here. So I'm going to say image and then comma, let's say index. The index here, I'm going to put that into the key like so. Wait, like so. All right, so now let's go to image card component. So let's click this. So we should be able to see 2 image card here. All right, now we are going to grab the image, the individual image, and I'm going to render image here. So let's do image tag like that. Let's put this image into the source here. So I'm gonna do set equals to image. And also here I'm going to add the class name. Class name should be with full, and also the rounded. Let's do rounded here. And also I'm going to give a shadow to, let's say, small. When I save that, and this is what we have. All right, that's pretty cool. It's responsive as well. So next we need to make a post request in this URL here, okay, that we create in here, localhost 5500. So what we need to do first, let's close everything. It's look complex when we see a lot of tab here. So first I'm going to open my app.jsx, and in here I'm going to create state. Let's give a name list images and set list images. Should be set equals to use state. By default it should be empty array. All right, and also I'm going to create state call is loading, set is loading, set equals to use state. By default it should be false. All right, so now we need to send the set list images into the header. So let's copy that to here, set equals to set list images, and also for the set loading we are going to put it here. Okay, set loading, set equals to set is loading. All right, so now what we need to do is let's go to header. We need to grab the, let's see the name, set list images. Let's copy that, grab it here. Let's do set list images, and also set is loading. Let's copy this, paste that in here. So what we need to do first is I'm going to handle the on change inside this input here. Let's say on change set equals to handle input change. All right, so let's create a function. The function, it should be handle input change. So I'm going to create that in here. So let's say const handle input change set equals to arrow function, and this basically have a event, and I'm going to store the value into the another state. So I'm going to call this input value and set input value. It's typo here, it should be input value. So it should be set equals to use state. By default it should be empty string. All right, so in here what we need to do is I'm going to set the input value into e.target.value. And also I'm going to set the value inside this input value set equals to input value, just like that. So now if I console log the input value, we should see the value that we're typing inside the input. Let's go back and let's see here. I'm going to inspect and go to console, and here I'm going to refresh it. So let's make it bigger, and every time I'm typing something here, let's say hello, we get the value into the console. All right, that's working. Nice. I think, as you can see here, we have the background red in the input. Let's remove that. So this one here, I'm going to remove that. So let's remove here, and it should be nice. Next, we need to handle the on submit event in this form. So first, I'm going to add the button here to type submit. Let's say submit. And also this form here, I'm going to add on submit set equals to handle submit. All right, let's create the handle submit function up here. So let's do say const handle submit set equals to arrow function, and should be take an event here, and I'm going to say e.prevent default because I don't want to the page reload after I make a submit in this input here. Okay, so next here I'm going to use async await function basically. So let's say async, and in here I'm going to use try and catch. So let's say try, and down here I'm going to say catch. We grab the error, and then here I just want to, let's say, console log the error, just like that. So now let's remove this console log, and what we need to do in this try first is I'm going to set the is loading to true, right? So after we set loading to true, we need to make a fetch request in here. So I'm going to create variable called response that equals to going to wait for fetch here. Okay, and here I'm going to put the http:// and then localhost. Okay, the port should be 5500, and should be slash OpenAI slash images. All right. And here I'm going to put the second parameter, which is the option. So I'm going to specify the method. It should be post request. Let's say post. And also down here, I'm going to send the headers. And the header should be, let's say, content type here. Content type, it should be application slash JSON. All right. And also down here, we need to put the body. So let's say body. So I'm gonna do, let's use JSON.stringify. Okay. And here we are going to send the prompt. Okay, because remember here we grab the prompt inside the backend here. So let's go to road, not road, but controllers. And in here, as you can see, we get the prompt come from the request here. So let's remove this console log, and basically here I'm going to change the n into 2 image, and also the size I'm going to change that to, let's take a look into the documentation here. I'm going to use basically the medium size, which is this one here. So let's put it here, just like that. Now save that and let's go back to header. And the prompt is basically the input value come from the state here. All right, let's say input value, just like that. So now done here, I'm going to create a variable called JSON data. That equals to, I'm going to grab the, let's do response here. I'm going to add weight, of course. So I'm going to do response.json. All right, and also down here, I'm going to set the list images into JSON data.data. Right. So down here, let's say finally, I'm going to set the is loading back to false, just like that. So now if I go to the app here and let's send the, I think let's try to make a post request. So first I'm going to, let's try to console log these images. Let's see into the console here, and I'm going to, let's try here, baby fly into the sky, right? So let's hit enter and we have some warning here. So let's see the error. It should be inside the header and 14th line. Inside the 14th line in the header. So I think this one. Alright, it should be 5,500. Alright. So let's refresh that and I'm going to try that again. Let's do baby fly in the sky. Let's hit enter and we get empty here. But after a couple seconds, it should be showing the image, I hope. And as you can see, we have 2 objects in here and we have the URL. Alright, that's pretty cool. It's working now. And what we need to do is we need to send these list images into the image result component. So we can say list images, right? List images, set that equals to list images. And also is loading. Let's do is loading, set equals to is loading. All right, so now we are going to go to this image result and we are going to grab the image list images and also the is loading. So now let's remove this is loading variable and this data here. I'm going to remove that. And in this list images, I'm going to put that into this data here. All right, let's do that again. Everything will look nice. As you can see, guys, that's really cute. As you can see, we get the result in here. That's pretty cool. Let's go to inspect. I don't want to see some error in the console. So let's try to refresh that. And I'm going to generate another thing here. So let's do something fun, dog inside a box. If I hit enter, and as you can see, it's still loading here. And after a couple seconds, it should be showing the result for us. Let's wait for that. And as you can see, guys, we have this result, dog inside a box. Really cool. But as you can see here, we have some warning. The error here, it should be inside the skeleton. So let's go to skeleton component. and we are going to grab the index here. So let's say index, and I'm gonna do key set equals to index, just like that. Right, so now it should be gone, the error. So let's try again. I'm going to paste the penguin wearing a top hat and monocle. So if I click this here, and it should be showing the loading for us, and then after a couple seconds, you can see the console is clean, right? And as you can see, the result, it should be this one here. Okay, that's pretty cool. And if I click that again, it should be generate new one. So basically this image here is, you cannot find that in the internet because it's generated by AI. That's pretty cool. So yeah, I think that's it guys for this video. I hope you can implement OpenAI generate image in your project. So I'm going to showing you how to deploy this project into the next video. So stay tuned to my YouTube channel, and bye.